Hi, this is Kat at Orion Billing. I wanted to spend a little time explaining the No Surprises Act. It is a law that has been in effect since January of 2022, but I've had some questions on it, so here we go. The No Surprises Act is basically a law that protects patients against receiving surprise medical bills. It affects providers and clinics who treat out-of-network patients or uninsured patients. It also applies to hospitals, but I don't do hospital billing, so I'm never referring to hospital billing in my videos. I'm always referring to private office settings. So basically, if a patient has health insurance and gets care from an out-of-network provider, the health plan may not cover the entire out-of-network cost, right? When you're in-network, of course, the in-network provider has to write off the amount that the insurance doesn't cover, and you cannot balance bill the patient, but an out-of-network provider can bill the patient for the difference between what he charges and what the out-of-network insurance pays. So with the No Surprises Act, the patient would have to consent to that prior to receiving the care. It requires that the healthcare provider gives the patient written notice explaining to them that getting out-of-network care could be more expensive, basically. If the patient has health insurance with an out-of-network benefit, the patient can go to see an out-of-network provider, but they cannot be billed more than the in-network cost unless they have consented in writing to getting that care at a higher price by signing that notice and consent form. Also, for patients receiving care that is not normally paid for by insurance. So if the patient has no health insurance or chooses not to use their health insurance, then the provider is required by the No Surprises Act to make a good faith estimate of how much the care will cost before the patient receives treatment, and the patient has to agree to that good faith estimate. Also, under this act, the patient can file a dispute if they are charged more than $400 above the estimate. So the notice and consent form informs the patient about the protections from unexpected medical bills, and it gives them the option to give up those protections and pay more for out-of-network care. It also includes an estimate of what the out-of-network care might cost. Now, the patient doesn't have to sign the form, but if they don't sign, then they may need to go to an in-network provider because an out-of-network provider giving them care needs to have a signed form. The form basically informs the patient that you're out-of-network with their plan and gives them the option to get the care and lets them know it'll cost them more and that they can be balance billed, and gives them the estimation of the cost. For uninsured patients or those receiving care that isn't covered by their insurance, you are to give them the good faith estimate that shows that estimated cost. It is an estimate, it's not itemized. And if you want to make sure that you're complying with the No Surprises Act when your front desk or your scheduling department are scheduling patients, I recommend looking at the CMS standard notice. I will link that in the video description. That's the CMS legal form. So I recommend that one. It is important to have these signed because if you take a patient's insurance card and just assume that they have insurance and you bill it out only to find out that their insurance has lapsed, which, happens, and you have not notified the patient in advance that the services would be self-pay in that case and provide a good faith estimate, then you would have to write off all of those charges. You have to make a good faith effort to find out if the patient has insurance or not and have them sign that cost estimate. If you don't and the patient disputes it, that could be a lot of money lost. I will put a link in the description to a CMS article about the No Surprises Act that is a pretty easy read, and I will also link the CMS standard notice and consent document. That is the one direct from the source, and I recommend using that one to make sure you've got it all covered. There is more to know about it. Feel free to ask me if you have any other questions. Have a great day.